Ambush, the first episode of the Clone Wars.
That's what we're doing now, aren't we? Watching the Clone Wars.
Yeah, watching Clone Wars every week to week. Clone Wars coming out your ear holes.
Because we've never watched it, have we, Matt?
We've watched bits, haven't
bits
we?
And bobs.
We've watched arcs and we've watched a lot of the filth. Yeah. I've often delved into Clone Wars in the past by being like asking. Actually, none other than Michael Griffith Dixon. He's actually a bit of a he's a Clone Wars B-knock. So I would usually defer to his knowledge, or I'd Google like top 10 storylines or whatever. But yeah, never done it through from start to finish. Thought now is a good time.
Okay.
Ambush. I've not actually seen this one before, so I must say I really, really enjoyed it. I really liked that it's just like a little Yoda bottle episode to start off with as well. I think it's quite bold. It gets Yoda as a character, I think, and there's some great action. And I also think it gives you a bit more texture to the war. I like the setup of like, oh, well, there's these neutral planets. Of course, the Republic and the Separatists are going to try and like make their case and convince them that they should join. And also, I like that rather than the Sith being like, oh, we shall subjugate your planet, and now your planet's your base belong to us. Instead it's like Count Dooku going like, oh, are you sure you don't want to join us? Well, we've got cool capes.
Like gives him an option. I think it's almost like a near perfect sort of like pilot episode to establish what the series is. Because I feel like you get a perfect episode of Yoda. Like it completely summarizes what Yoda's all about, what it's like as a Jedi. And like you said, I really like the fact that it opened up this whole thing of like, there's these planets that are not quite sure where they stand, and they're given they're a chance to like decide by who's the more essentially who's going to protect them better. Yes. Which I think was really cool. And I like things like how he's like, I'm not going to use someone that promised me that they wouldn't cheat and still try to release the droids, the battle droids on on Yoda. Because I'm like, that makes sense. Why would he? Yes, and then I do also like that after the Sith give you the chance of you can join us. It's like, oh well, see you later. Now you can. You're just killing. You know what I mean?
Are you sure you don't want to join us? No, I think I'm okay. Especially if you were like trying to buy a car and they were like that. No, I don't think I will. Are you sure? No. Well, you shall now experience the full force of this sale.
I'm sure your successor would like this Volkswagen.
I think it's really interesting how honourable King Katunko is when we've seen others of his race before in the prequels being Watto's he's so dishonourable and so skeevy, so it is
I guess it's no different to like there's good and bad human beings, isn't there? And I think it's actually it's nice to expand upon that race and say, well, here's this honourable king and here's what kind of they're like on their home planet or home moon, should we say.
Yes.
But yeah, I just really liked how Yoda was sort of using the battle droid's strength against them. There was a bit where he sort of like he's hopping between them. And
he just lets them destroy themselves.
Yes,
I only just got a promotion. I
love how dopey the droids are. Like, I just love how stupid they are. And it's a really good exploration of like droids versus clones sort of thing.
They've got the strength in numbers, haven't they? But they don't have like the camaraderie, the know-how.
Yeah.
And I really like that bit in the cave with Yoda where they're like, oh, all our faces look the same. And he's like, no, I see through the Force how different you are. And he's sort of like
best part of the episode for me.
You think?
That's the best scene for me. I just love the idea that these clones are like, well, we're no different. We all look the same. And Yoda's like, no, like you're all individuals. Like you're all the Force is within everyone, every living being. And then he goes to tell them exactly why they are individuals. Like,
and you hear the Force theme, don't you?
Yeah. It's fantastic. That's Star Wars. That is what Star Wars means to me.
Yes.
That whole scene.
Sire, rush not into fights. Long is the war. Only by surviving it will you prevail.
And it impressed me that from the start of the series, we get all your filth, you get your action bits, you get him taking on a tank and all that, but also they hold off on him igniting the lightsaber until towards the end of the episode. It's a lot of like him actually helping the clones and helping them to see their own strengths, which is very Jedi.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed that as well, yeah.
No one can understand the Jedi. Is that what they say? That's a misquote.
I loved it, when he's like giving them all like the little things like, our minds might be small, but we might be small, but our minds are bigger than them.
I love it. So many good quotes from Yoda in this one, I feel like.
I think the design of him, I really enjoy. I think he looks so sweet.
Do you? I think his teeth, he looks like really, like he'd take a naughty little bite out of you.
Oh, really?
I think he seems like a little gremlin. Really, he does look like a little gremlin, to be honest.
I have a quick question for you guys.
Yeah.
That's not really related too much, but why do you think Yoda carries around that walking stick?
I think for me it's that he needs it genuinely, because I don't think he's a trickster in that way. I think he does need it, and then when he fights with the Force, it's like he's using the Force to tap into a younger version of himself.
Yeah.
And then when the fight's done, do you know what I mean? Because like in Attack of the Clones,
I like
Yeah.
that. I think that's
And like you see in Clone Wars, a lot of him sort of sitting. So I think it's him like summoning the Force to help him.
Yeah. It's like he does genuinely need it.
Yeah, I almost feel like he's like, this is a really weird thing to say, but he's like friends with the Force. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Like he has the best understanding of it because he's been around for so long, and the Force is like his friend almost, so he has the best connection with it.
Yes,
Is that weird?
Yes, no, I agree with you saying that, because I think as well, like someone like Mace Windu, I'd say is the other like top dog on the council. I wouldn't say he's friends with the Force.
No.
The Force is like the
beats him
boss.
down.
Yeah.
And he keeps carrying on, doesn't he?
Yeah,
The Force is like the boss, and Yoda's in favour, and Mace Windu isn't quite
He's
there.
the rebel.
Yeah.
The loose cannon.
Yeah. It's interesting, because I just love that moment when Yoda's sitting on top of that rock and like the birds sort of come over to him and like you sit there and like he's in front of them, and it's never like, what I love about Yoda is like he's never really pretentious. Although he's like, oh, I know this thing, and he teaches. He's always like, no, it's okay. Like things are fine. I think that's why Yoda's like one of my favorite.
He's
Star Wars
whimsical, isn't
characters.
he?
Yeah, and like he's such a great teacher, isn't he?
I like all the different ways he outthinks the droids and like the clones, and the clones are sort of there as like the not Columbo character in the room going, well, Columbo, whatever should we do? And he's going like, well, like at the start when he's like, let's get into the escape pods, and the clone guy's like, oh, well, they're going to shoot the escape pods. He's like, well, not if we, release all of the escape pods at once.
I love it, yeah.
It makes me wonder in like Yoda's 900 or whatever years, like how many battles he's seen to be like this savvy with battle, if that makes sense. He must have seen so many wars and stuff in the galaxy.
I mean, I think in the new canon it's going to be fleshed out a bit more in that High Republic series. So that should be interesting, because I think they've confirmed that Yoda will be in it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, obviously it fits in with the timeline, doesn't it? And I think the end of the High Republic era is like 50 years before Phantom Menace.
Because I do think out of all the Star Wars characters, like I think like I would actually like to see more of Yoda. Like, in terms of, because I think, because he lives for so long, he's seen so much. Like there's so much content out there of Yoda that
But then I think that's exactly what they're banking on with Grogu, isn't it? It's like
No,
they know that race lives so long.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Um,
and also,
but-
sorry, go on.
Sorry, no, go.
I was
okay, baby, you go on. You go on.
Shut up.
I haven't actually mentioned that you're my girlfriend this episode, so that would be really weird. Yeah. Matt, don't call me baby. We've been through this.
Oh no.
yeah, for my sake, please.
Would you like him to call you baby instead?
Oh, like I don't always. When I call him baby, it's more like how like Lando calls Han baby.
Baby.
So, yeah. It's not...
It's cute that you guys think you're Lando and Han when really you're those two droids that are like Roger.
Pretty accurate.
With some bloody clankers.
Clankers.
I was gonna say, we were discussing earlier. Do you think that when Yoda gets to the original trilogy and he's a bit crazy and whimsical and funny compared to these previous iterations of Yoda, that he's like lost his mind a bit? Like with Order 66 and all the Jedi being destroyed and then him going to be on this planet like almost alone. Do you think he's like a bit...
Alone, save for those horrifying spiders and snakes.
You would go mental, wouldn't you, with those horrifying snakes
I definitely
and
think he's
spiders?
more senile by the time we see him in Empire.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's a really interesting thought. I definitely think that. That I like to believe that there's something about Yoda that in the original trilogy where I feel like he's got a sense of like, oh, he's learned so much within the Force that he knows that everything's going to be okay. Therefore, everything becomes a bit silly to him in a weird way.
Yes.
And I kind of like, there's something about that. I think especially because of the way he comes back in like The Last Jedi and the way he talks to Luke. And we're like, all this terrible stuff's happening, yet Yoda's like, it's okay. Look, who is that young Luke?
Yes.
You are like young Skywalker. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I feel like he's there's a part of me that feels like he's become such one with the Force that he's like, this is just the balance, there's dark times are going to happen, light times around the corner sort of thing.
I do also
like
think though he's kind of got that thing that Thor has in Endgame where it's like so much terrible stuff has happened post Revenge that he's just going to double down on the whimsy and the humour.
Yeah.
'Cause that's the only way to get through this pain.
Well, it's like comedians. Most comedians are actually quite, got dark people. Like they usually have to have had something that's fucked them up a bit. It's just like, it makes them see a world through that lens, because comedy is like honesty, isn't it? It's seeing truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
So to make jokes of that, to be aware of that. So I think maybe I think that's interesting actually, that Yoda's become like, it's all a bit of a joke in a weird, in a weird kind of way. That's how he deals with it.
You see him being more grave, I think, when things are better. So like in the prequels, like, do you know what I mean? When he's
that
like,
is
the
true.
Clone Wars have begun, and he just seems affected by it when he fails against Palpatine and all those sort of things. But then by the time you meet him in Empire, he's back to like.
How many times are you going to make that noise?
Maybe once more.
We'll have to have like a counter on the screen.
His sounds are what like I make whenever I see food. You know what I mean? Like.
Too
You think
old.
he's joking? He's also wearing this like cozy little green hoodie.